We met Troy a long time ago, when we would go to Calcutta and he would come and teach. We would take a bunch of college students there and work with some NGOs there. And he just taught with this like extreme passion for Jesus and um it just seemed like the work that he was going to be up to in his life was really clearly going to be really good. He was working in Bangkok at the time, but he found a new calling and he's in Bangladesh now, and yeah, he's gonna share about it. So take it away.
Yeah. Thanks, Caleb and Deanna. I think I see you across the way there. And yeah, hi, good morning from Bangladesh, and good evening to all of you. So I'm here in my office in Bangladesh with three of the young women who live in our college dorm. And this is Deepa and Charmaine and Bondana. And the three of them will talk a little bit about their life in a minute, but I'll just briefly give an overview of the work we're doing, so you can understand a little bit, and then through some translation and them talking, we'll share a little about their lives. So you all generously supported us. I think it was about a year ago that we got a big donation from you, which we're grateful for, and that has helped our work go forward. So Speak Up works here in Bangladesh in 35 villages and slum areas, helping girls from some disadvantaged backgrounds be able to stay in school, and in many cases to avoid child marriage and to build some careers and lives that will help empower them and their families, and we hope more broadly this region. So here in Bangladesh, it's about a 90% Muslim country, just shy of 10% Hindu. Two of the young women here are Hindu, and Charmaine Poppy is Muslim. But our program is about 50-50 Hindu and Muslim, helping the young girls who are vulnerable to, especially to child marriage and other forms of exploitation. So you might not know much about child marriage or that kind of issue, but in some African, some Middle Eastern countries, and here across South Asia, there's a big problem with child marriage where, because of lack of opportunities or a certain view of young women, that girls are often dropped out of school when they're 14, 15, 16 and sent into marriage. So we're trying to fight that by giving the young women a chance to stay in school. So we're supporting almost 2,000 girls and young women in these villages and slum areas. I'm helping them go to the public schools, and then for the older ones, once they finished high school, giving them a dormitory and stipend so that they can go to higher education. So that's very broadly what we're doing. We have very small projects in Thailand, Cambodia, and in Lebanon with Syrian refugee girls, but really this is the bulk of our work. So any of the donations you give will help to help everyone from the little 3rd and 4th grade girls in the villages up through the young women that live in the city going to nursing school or other higher education. So I'll have these three young women just briefly say their name and what they do in school. And at any time, we're also free to answer any questions that you might have. So why don't you just say, just for a minute, your name and your class article.
Hi, my name is Bondana. I'm studying BBA final year. I'm a teacher, CTGP.
Okay, so and your BBA is what subject? Don't be shy.
Accounting department.
Okay, so Bondana, if you didn't catch, she said she's in her last year of BBS getting her degree, which would be like a BA in accounting. And she also said she's the city GEP teacher. So we have some of the young women from from our college dorm employed to go teach the younger girls and be tutors and mentors to the younger girls in some of the nearby slum areas. So as soon as we're done here this morning, they're going to go off to do some of their tutoring for their morning group. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I am Charmaine. I am fresh in university. I want to be a professor. Now I am a teaching profession. Now I am going to teach in CTGEP.
Okay. Can you, Caleb, can you hear that pretty well there?
Not completely. I couldn't make it all out. If you want to do some translation, that's okay.
Okay, so I'll get a little bit closer and make sure, Matt, you speak so this is Charmaine, and so she's in her first year. She said she's like, they say freshie, but a freshman in university.
Yeah.
And English, right?
Bangla.
One subject in Bangla, the local language, and she wants to be a teacher and a professor. So she's also a part-time teacher in the slum area. So she and Vandana will go to the slum here in 15 or 20 minutes to go teach some of the girls in their morning tutoring session. So Deepa,
Right
go
on.
ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deepa. I want to be a nurse and I am studying in a nursing school right now.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
and how many years have you been in the GEP?
I'm in the GP.
In GEP?
From 2013, I am involved in GEP and still now I am doing my best in the GEP and this is
So, and you have in this dorm like 8 or 9 years?
9 years.
9 years. So Deepa is our longest term dorm resident. So because of some family issues needing a safe place to go, she came in like 5th or 6th grade to live in the dorm. So most of the high school girls in the dorm come when there's some in 8th or 9th grade. But when we first started out, Deepa and some very young girls came and stayed in our dorm. You can see we have the Bangladesh flag in the background. We put that up because now World Cup season, everyone is really into Brazil and Argentina and has all these flags. So I said, forget that. I'm going to put up the Bangladesh flag here in my office. Yeah. So these 3 young women are good examples of what we're trying to do here in Bangladesh, where probably about still 60 or 65% of girls are married before the age of 18 across the country, which there's about 170 million people in Bangladesh, a very high population country. So if you think 60% of girls before 18, this is literally millions of girls are forced into illegal child marriages every year. So what we're trying to do in our small area here with these 2,000 girls in our program is instead give them a chance to have a dream for their future and to build their career by giving them a safe place, a dorm to live in, and also stipends to go to higher education. But maybe Deepa, you can explain. Deepa's English is pretty good. So you can explain, why do the girls in Bangladesh need the GEP? GEP stands for Girls Education Program, or here we sometimes call it the Girls Empowerment Program.
GEP needs in Bangladesh, especially in the villages, because the parents are not most of the parents doesn't appreciate gross education in Bangladesh. They think the take care of child and marriage is the best thing for a girl in Bangladesh. So that's why this is the most important thing that we need GEP in Bangladesh, especially in villages. Also in slum areas, the children, or especially the girls, don't go to the school and they just waste their time in home or doing like bad things many times. So this is the causes of GEP. This is the causes of girls that we need GEP.
Okay, could you understand that, Caleb?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So Deepa is like, her English has improved a lot since she's little been in our GEP, but just explaining the reality for girls in so many villages and slum where there are very low expectations of girls and kind of at the same time, a very low view of girls and women. So in generally patriarchal or male dominated culture, as Deepa was mentioning, the girls are essentially deemed valuable only for their ability to get married and please their husband and cooking and cleaning, and hopefully to have some children, preferably sons, because in most families, if you have a son, the son will stay with the family and kind of build the family estate, and the girl will be given off and sent off to the in-laws home. So you can see in some kind of traditional thinking, but also allied with poverty or a lack of opportunities. There are many, many thousands and over the year, millions of girls who are married off and forced to give up their dreams. So did you say, Vandana, what is your dream?
I want to be a banker.
Okay, so she wants to be a banker. So
Yeah.
she's studying accounting now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of girls will say banker or businesswoman to basically mean anything in the business realm. So we have a few girls that are studying accounting, and You said you want to be a professor of what subject? A Bangla professor. Yeah. So does anyone there speak any Bangla? Not a word of Bangla? Okay, so just
I
say
don't think
15 sentences in Bangla bolo. Just খুব তাড়াতাড়ি না but just একটু.
আমি এখন স্কুলে যাব।
Oh, so she's saying right now I'm going to school. Right now I will go to school. Yeah, so she wants to be a Bangla professor, and Deepa, she mentioned, wants to be a nurse.
Yes.
So we have in our dorm just next door, there's probably 25 young women that are in nursing school now, which is one of our more successful programs, because the young women will be trained for 3 or 4 years in a local hospital, where they'll do their rotations and the training, but also it kind of guarantees them a job to work in the hospital after they finish. So nursing school is a great option. It's a good career and a decent salary, but also a guaranteed job, which is a great setup for anyone that's struggling with work, to know that you're guaranteed to work once you finish. And especially here where there aren't a lot of economic opportunities, those young women have a guaranteed job when they finish in a couple of years. So we probably have 35 more young women that are coming to our dorm in December and January, who will be doing a nursing admission course for a couple months, trying to get the best score possible to see if they can get into nursing school. So by March or April, we'll have up to 30 more young women going to nursing school as well. So in some ways, I'm sure I'm talking to a lot of people who may have gone to university or higher education, and it might not be the most dramatic, but here in Bangladesh, where a very low percentage, especially of the girls from the villages and slums, will go to higher education, it's really transformative for them to have a chance to work toward their, not only just work toward their job and build a career, but also to delay marriage until, we're hoping, at least 21, 22, 23. So excuse me, in broad strokes, that's what we're doing. We have a team of 2 people that are our advocacy team doing legal work, that are on some of the child marriage cases, working with the government and the police to stop some of the more abusive cases. And we have about 55 tutors in the villages that are helping the young girls for tutoring. A lot of the money that we raise goes to paying the tutors' salaries, gives direct support to girls in the villages for books and notebooks and pens, these little study rooms that you may have seen pictures of, we call learning centers, and gives several hundred girls in our college program stipends as well, allowing them to go to honors. Here they call it honors or university, or to go to nursing school. So those are some of the broad strokes. I don't know how much time exactly we have, Caleb, but if there are any questions or thoughts that people have, we'd be happy to answer any.
Questions, go.
How do girls get connected to your program?
So, we're in these 35 slums and villages, and because, anyone sees these 10 or 20 or in some villages, 100 girls coming, the next group of girls just automatically join. So we have what we call learning centers, small schoolrooms in every village that the younger girls get tutoring, but the little 3rd and 4th and 5th grade girls kind of start hanging around as they see their older friends part of the program. And then they know that if they're regular attending and coming when they're in 5th grade, then in the 6th grade, they'll be able to officially join. So officially joining, you get an official ID, and that means you get all the privileges of being an official GEP member. But we don't need to advertise, because there's, high population villages and slums, and everyone sees it. So the little girls want to join when they see their friends.
And how do the parents feel about it? Are they cooperative and happy about it?
Yeah, for the most part, you can imagine most moms who are married young, they're supportive because they know more than anyone else ever will what it's like to be married when you're 14 or 15. So we were just at a meeting yesterday with about 50 or 60 moms, the parents meeting, and I asked them, and they're kind of shy, but eventually they all admitted, yeah, I was married when I was young. So they're totally supportive because they know what it's like. And even if they only have a 5th or 6th grade education, they want their daughter to get more. The dads can be a mixed bunch, but the dads, as you appeal to their economic interest, more of them are starting to get interested. There's always, 10% that are against it, and some of the hardcore religious fundamentalist people that might be against what we're doing. But most people, it's just creating a new way of looking at their daughters. And then once they kind of grasp that and see opportunity, they're on board for the most part. But, it's case by case.
Are you able to accommodate anyone who's interested, or do you have to like set a limit for the amount of students?
Yeah, we have a limit. So we just have a list. I was just given yesterday, our team is working on 173 new girls will join in January. So that's great for them, but there's a waiting list of about 500. So there'll be several hundred, but that'll be disappointed, but we say, well, keep hanging around and we'll provide what we can. Mostly any girl like through the 9th grade can come and get tutoring. So that's kind of unlimited. Anyone who shows up can hang out with our tutors. We don't have money to give like the school books and textbooks and all the test fees and exam fees and like the training meetings. We don't have money to do that for unlimited people, but the tutoring can be almost unlimited within some reason, but basically anyone within the area can come. So these 173 girls we'll probably end up adding almost up to 200. They will not have official sponsors. We have people that sponsor one girl for $40 a month, but over the course of the year, we'll get support for them. But my job is just to raise enough money to kind of be ahead of that wave. But yeah, so not everyone can join, but everyone who's kind of, we call it regular or faithful to come to our tutoring can at least come and get tutoring for free. Yeah. So, I mean, just, was there some other question there?
How much more money do you think you'd need to raise to be able to have it be unlimited?
Well, like, I mean, Bangladesh is unlimited. Like there's 30,000 villages, right? And hundreds of
Right.
slums. So, I mean, there's unlimited. So we probably need about, like, to really do a good job, about $350, $400 per girl per year when you average it out. I mean, that includes every single thing under the sun, from renting a building to paying for food for our dorm girls. But just multiply that by whatever number. But so every new girl that we add, $400 more a year for that girl would pay for her. But we're adding these 173 girls before we have money, but we know we're going to raise some in December and kind of over the course of the year. But like anything, it's an issue of, even if you have unlimited money, we don't necessarily have unlimited staff to implement a great program. So we don't, if someone gave us $10 million tomorrow, I wouldn't spend it all next year. I'd use it to build the capacity. So we'd have the staff team to be able to do a program that was 3 or 4 times bigger. But with our current staff team and these 35 locations, if we raised like $100,000 more for next year, that would really help those 170 girls be more solidified. But the higher expense is really for the older girls. As people who have kids know, the little kids might not be that expensive, but when they get into higher education and dorms and more academic expenses, that's where we need the real money. But for people who are maybe want to go to our website, we have a good Facebook and Instagram page, a lot of pictures and stories. What we're trying to do is simultaneously fight some of the worst exploitation you can imagine, which is marriage of very young girls. And then girls, when their young marriages fall apart, end up in very terrible situations. So there's a real heartbreaking story that we can tell about that side. But on the positive side, we're building like a growing wave of young women who are going to be educated to help change and transform their country in a positive sense. So what I really like about empowering girls is that it's simultaneously fighting some of the greatest evil that's out there, but at the same time, building something which the country needs in the most positive sense. So we're simultaneously doing those things. I can speak to the terrible things or the more optimistic stuff. But the great thing is these young women are joined by many of their friends, and they're going to kind of build this new wave of empowered young women in Bangladesh. Anything else you want to say? I was speaking English very quickly.
Yes.
But anything else you want to say, Deepa? you can say thank you. This group here,
Of course.
Caleb
why
and
not?
Deanna, they and their friends, I don't think I know anyone there, but their friends gave a lot of money last year to help pay for this dorm and to pay stipends. So.
Yeah,
What, can I ask the girls, what has been one of your favorite parts of the program?
In the GP, como de Prio, dice aquí. Favorite thing, well,
Um,
well,
what should we say?
what's your favorite part of the GP? Como de Prio key. Hostel, GP meeting, city GP, football program.
So I have
Oh.
two things that are my favorite. So we have a meeting in every 1 month. So we enjoyed it a lot because we gather together at a time. So this is really a fun time also. And also we know they give us training something, or they take us class. So this is a thing that is my favorite. And the other thing is I love to stay in the hostel because we enjoy a lot here. We have also pressure. We have also a pressure. I mean that not that kind of pressure, study pressure or something. But it's really fun to stay together, girls, and we enjoy a lot of times like gossiping, practicing dance, something like that. So this is really good thing for us.
Yeah. So they use the word gossiping to mean just hanging out and talking.
so do we.
Yeah. They're not necessarily using it in the negative sense, but just gossiping means just hanging out.
Yeah.
So anyone that ever lived in a dormitory, you can, know that some of those college years can be some of the most fun times, just living with 50 of your friends in a big dorm. How about you, Tomar Prioki, on the GEP?
I have three things.
Three things.
In my favorite, one of things, driving.
Motorcycle.
হ্যাঁ,
Oh.
সেখানে এটা।
So she's
হ্যাঁ,
learning to
এবার-
drive the motorcycle, which we're training all the girls to do. So they'll be equipped to be able to get a job and travel anywhere.
Second হচ্ছে city GP তে পড়ানো।
Oh, and her teaching with the city GEP.
আর third হচ্ছে meeting।
Oh, and some of the training meetings. So some of our training meetings, I guess, are a bigger hit than I realized, but we have 10 training areas. So every young woman is supposed to be, our goal to be kind of somewhat proficient in these 10 areas. And one of them is driving. And here it's not driving a car. Not many people have a private car, but being able to drive a motorcycle just opens up opportunities for young women to be able to say to a future employer, I can drive and go anywhere. So even the women on our staff team drive little scooters and motorcycles, and it's kind of a rare thing to see in Bangladesh, but we're trying to do a new thing by having women drive. How about you, Bandana?
I have two things. My favorite,
Bolo?
city GP teaching, আর arrange meeting 3 months after.
The Board of GEP meeting.
হ্যাঁ,
Yeah, so she's saying her favorite things are the teaching in the slum areas. We call it the city GEP. So these Poppy and Bandana are part of 14 young women who are teachers. So that, and she likes the big training meetings. So the same age girls every 3 months will come together for a big training, the girls from across the whole region. So briefly, those are some of the favorite things. And I'm glad to hear that Charmaine, one of her favorite is driving. So just yesterday, some of the girls were out with a couple of the staff learning, just practicing driving the motorcycle, kind of a scooter style motorcycle that they can drive while wearing a dress.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I got one last question.
Okay.
Maybe you can give the short version of it because this is kind of a long question, but when I saw you when we were in Bangkok, I just remember you like really struggling with what is the life of greatest impact that I could have, and given the call to the poor that we see in scripture, like how can I be as faithful as possible to that calling? And you're doing it with like a fiercely honest look at your resources and what you could do in the world in your short time here. That with what I perceived as like basically no fear, like I'll go anywhere, do anything. And so I guess like how, because at that point you were doing legal advocacy for people in Thailand, but
No.
how did you land on Bangladesh and education for women as the life of greatest impact that you could have?
Yeah, it's a great question. For me, I went to law school and started Speak Up originally wanting to do more legal work and advocacy on issues of human trafficking or forced prostitution, commercial sexual exploitation, those issues that really touched me when I was learning about them. And I did some work before and during law school on those issues. Over time, I realized for a couple different reasons. One, I was working in Thailand on those issues and some refugee issues, but in Thailand, especially, there were many groups working on some similar things. And I realized, one, I didn't want to compete with them. And I wanted to go to some place where there was kind of more open ground to do something. So I was looking for places, and Bangladesh was one of those places where it's a very high population country, 170 million people, and smaller than the state of Washington. Like, it kind of blows your mind to think of that. But so high population country that's relatively poor, and because of that, wherever there's poverty and high population, girls are going to get the worst end of the stick. And but strategically over time, I realized that it's good to do the interventions. I mean, we still need people to work, like going into the brothels and removing girls and doing the legal work and helping the legal system develop. But over time, I realized that probably 95% of the money should go into the preventative side of things, because no matter how many people you remove from exploitation, because there is unlimited poverty, the next wave of people will just fill their place. And that came to me when I was in Bangkok, and I saw even the pimps would call up the organizations, the NGOs, and say, can you take this girl? She's unhappy, she's pregnant, she's not productive in the brothel anymore. And it wasn't because they were looking out for her, it was because she was unproductive and they could just bring 5 more girls from the hinterlands of Thailand to take her place. And I realized you need to, I mean, it's great those ministries or NGOs working in the brothel areas or in the bars helping those girls, but 95% of the effort needs to go making the slums or the villages places where those girls are impervious to the traffickers or to the child marriage brokers, right? So I thought that the preventative side really needs to most work. So we do help fund a home for girls who are whose mothers are in prostitution. And that's important. And I still want to do more legal work. And the part of me that wants to fight more, I kind of wish I could, and maybe over time we will do more of the kind of infiltration side of things to get girls out of exploitation. But really, I realized strategically that most of the money needed to go to the preventative side, which one day will dry things up so there's never a river of exploitation down the line. I'm mixing up my metaphors, but I think you know what I mean, right? To go upstream to fix the problem. So blessings to the groups that are specifically just intervention or aftercare. All that stuff needs to happen. But for my money, I wanted to put more of the kind of finger on the scale of the prevention side, so girls will never get exploited in the first place.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the broad strokes. You need to, are you, I'm gonna do, right?
Yeah. We'll let you guys go.
These two,
Thank you so much.
they need to go. Yeah, they need to go
Okay,
because
let's all say thank you on 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
and thank you all for your support. So good to see you all, and we'll be in touch.
It was really good talking to you guys.